All right, we are back. You are looking live here at the D3 Golf Guys live show and podcast. Super excited. What a thrilling round 3. And it gets even better. We have a very special guest. We have the head coach of the defending champions who, after a stellar 280 today, have taken lead by 1 stroke going into the final round. He is from Carnegie Mellon University, Mr. Dan Rogers. Come on in here, Coach. Coach, great playing today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
280 in the wind in a little bit of the afternoon. Made up a lot of ground. 3 shots or three spots up in the rankings. Tell us how it went out there today.
We talked a lot last night about it, just how we wanted to get off to a good start. And, yesterday we had a good round going on the back. We started on 10 at Boulder Creek and played great, and then made the turn, and wheels kind of fell off for a little while. So we talked about how we were going to try to really focus on getting through those first few holes and get some red scores going.
Yeah.
And we did, and we ended up having a few that we threw away on 2, but then just had we played 9 awesome. I think we played it 4 under.
Yeah.
Which I definitely picked up some shots on the field. So
there's only a couple other people that might have played it better than you, which is even more surprising.
Well, it helps when you have one go in from the fairway.
Oh, very nice.
A little spin back.
There were a couple of those out there today. Yeah. Look, I mean, you guys have to be really excited about your position, obviously. The chance to go back-to-back, just kind of give us a little bit of the bigger picture as from your coaching perspective to kind of say, hey, it's a long way away from over, but it's kind of got to be an exciting kind of thing to be, all right, we're back in it. We've got a really good shot at it.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of golf left, right? And however this shakes out, I'm not sure. Right? If I had a crystal ball and I could tell you how it was going to be tomorrow night at this time, then, I'd probably be doing something different.
Yeah.
We're just going to go play golf, and we're going to try our hardest, and, as we're in Vegas, so let the chips fall where they may be, right?
There you go.
And just see what happens. I mean, any one of the teams there at the top, I could even see some of the teams in them, that are 8, 9, 10, 11 back that, the golf course has given up a ton of birdies. So
yes.
If we don't do it, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm.
And, tomorrow afternoon, a champion will be crowned, and I hope that it's us. I have a lot of faith in our guys and what they've done and how they've worked at this and the place that we're in. But we're going to go play golf and see what happens.
And it was interesting because it started off pretty mild in the morning,
mm-hmm.
but it got real spicy there at the afternoon. I know you guys made the turn to the backside. Just talk a little bit about the conditions because, it kind of going through the front, it was like, okay, this is fine. Yeah, fine. And then all of a sudden it started getting gusty and
it was
swirling.
It was swirling, and we were trying to figure out where it was coming from, and I just kept saying, look, guys, look at the clouds. We know where it's coming from. I know what it feels like here, but up there it's the same. It's been the same all day. It's not changing. So let's just trust it a little bit, trust the fact that it's going to be there to either help or hurt.
Yeah.
Cross, side winds, whatever. So that's one of the things we tried to do while we were out there, but it did get a little interesting early in the back, and then we got to 13 and had some opportunities there. They had some really good drives. We got them all in play.
Yeah.
I think we made 4 birdies or 5 birdies. Sorry, no, sorry. 4 birdies and an eagle. I can't remember.
It's okay. We'll let you up on that one.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of golf and a lot of heat.
I'm sun-kissed right now.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all fighting dehydration out there, but no, look, you guys have handled the par 3s great. You're number 1 in scoring on par 4s this week. You're 4th in par 5 scoring, so clearly doing a lot of things right there. Interesting. Talk a little bit about the par 5s, because I think what the viewers at home don't necessarily get the advantage of is, it just looks like the par 5s are easy. I know they're not, but I think they present a unique opportunity. Right, especially today. I spent some time on 16 green, where that back pin was very enticing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hit the green, you were in really good shape.
Yes.
But if you missed it,
it was tough. It was tough up and down. And actually,
really
we didn't
tough.
play 16 all that great.
Yeah.
We didn't play too awesome. We had 2 guys that made par with having short irons in their hands. One of them 3-putted for par. So we kind of made up for that on 5.
Yeah.
With 5 birdies. which was cool. We played that one well, and then we played 13 very well. But yeah, 16. That's a hard par 5. And honestly, they're all hard if you don't hit it in play.
Right.
Like, you got to hit your tee shot in the fairway, because if not, it's in the desert and you're in a bush and taking it unplayable.
Yeah.
You're up against a rock. Like, I mean, it's not a gimme birdie. Now they're all downwind. At least they were today.
Right.
Or at least a little bit of a help, which has made them play short. It's 100 degrees outside, so the ball's going forever. It's chasing, right? So it's making it short. But there's like added pressure, I think, there, that if you don't make birdie, everybody else is probably going to.
Yeah.
Those that are either chasing or you're behind, you're trying to catch up. I mean, it's one of those things you feel like you have to make birdie on those holes.
Yeah, I watched a lot of guys kind of, tap one in for birdie, and they were kind of upset.
Yeah.
Or worse, if they tapped in for bogey, tapped in for par, they felt like they made bogey on some of the par 5s. The other thing I think was interesting today was the par 3s. I think played a little bit. How do you think the par 3s played today?
Harder?
Yeah.
So Coach Schoberg got me. I walked up on the 5 green from like 3 fairway, and he's like, "What? You and Jay Lee are just tag teaming the par 5s today?" I'm like, "I guess that's the only thing that matters anymore is how we're playing on these par 5s." So the only par 3 that I actually got to was, let's see here, 17. I think that was the only one that I was participating in.
Howling into the wind.
Yeah, that was the hardest one, I think, at that point, late in the day.
They moved the tee up there.
They did, and the pin was right on top of that ridge.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not a fun hole location.
Yeah, and then I think 4 they moved back. It was
long.
playing like 230 uphill with the wind kind of hard off the left.
Yes.
So I thought the par 3s played very differently today. I would say this. I think the pin positions, with the exception of 17, were a little bit more benign.
Yeah.
Or a little less penal, maybe.
Sure. Like the one on 8 was okay. Like,
yeah,
probably as easy as it could get,
right,
given the shot.
Well, there was a couple teams that like had 4 or 5 birdies on 8 today, and I was like, wow.
Well, I think really what it came down to was if you could get a ball going a little bit right to left that landed in the middle of the green, it would just
funneled right in there. Yeah.
And if you missed that ridge, we had a couple of guys that missed it on the right side and had very long putts across the green that were, delicate, that was really tough to stop it close to the hole. It just wanted to run out. That
was the other thing. I don't know how much time you spent on the greens today. Some coaches like to spend time on the greens. Some coaches do not. But it seemed like the balls were rolling out a little bit more.
They were a little quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a little quicker.
I think I saw a roller when I got there early this morning, and I was like,
they looked very, very clean.
Yeah.
This morning. Not that they haven't in the last couple of days. They've been perfect.
Yeah.
But they looked a little bit quicker.
That's another thing. Just from your experience, talk about. You won the national championship last year. Talk about the condition of the golf course, because it has looked fabulous every day. But just from your guys' experience playing the golf course, just talk a little bit about the condition of the course.
It's been phenomenal. The greens have been, I guess, I like to use the phrase the perfect holding speed, right? They're there, and there's no excuses not to be making putts, I guess you could say. They're near perfect. And Andy, pro, he's done a fantastic job. The whole staff, I mean, they've done a wonderful job here, taking care of us, making our kids feel extremely special. I told him that this morning, and that goes a long way with me. But they've done a fantastic job. The golf course, the fairways are beautiful.
Every time I walk on the fairway, I'm like, put a club in my hand. I want to hit off these.
It's pretty nice out there. It's been fun to watch them play. Bunkers are good. I mean, other than the desert, right? You hit it into a bush. That's a little different, but I could probably do without the desert on every hole. But hey, that's what it is. We're playing in the desert, so
yes. Well, Coach Rogers, look, I know I don't want to keep you very long, so I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. There's some swag over there. Pick some of that up for you and the guys as you go. But good luck tomorrow, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Coach. All right, that is your current leading coach and defending champion, Dan Rogers from Carnegie Mellon. And boy, did they play a really nice round today. When you step back and kind of look, 8 under round at 280, it was the second best round of the day. The other big thing we need to talk about is the big move by Huntington today. 12 under, paced by Brett Vider, who shot a 64 with a bogey today. and he was 8 under on his own, which has vaulted him into a tie for the lead with Michael O'Sullivan from Oglethorpe in the individual side. But Huntington College roars up the leaderboard, up 5 spots to 6, and they're 1 back of 5th and 4 back of 4th. So the Huntington Eagles have screamed up to the leaderboard here today with an outstanding round. If you pull up their golf stat, it is just red with birdies everywhere. And Brett really brought things home. He birdied the last 4 holes, and that was on the front side, which, as you just heard from Coach, those holes kind of closing down the front are really, really tough. They got caught in that yesterday. Birdieing 6, 7, 8, 9 is really good golf. So he helped pace Huntington to a 12 under 276 today to vault them way up the leaderboard. So that's Huntington had the best round today. Carnegie Mellon was second. Third was Oglethorpe University, who shoots 5 under today. Unfortunately for them, they didn't move as far up the board as they wanted to. They basically stayed at 7 because Schreiner moved back. They were the biggest mover back today, but Huntington moved in front of them. But they closed the gap a little bit between them and the leaders. Oglethorpe did. Going down the leaderboard, Carnegie Mellon won. Tied for second and 1 stroke back is Methodist and Redlands. A really nice follow-up round with Redlands today. They shoot 287, 1 under, but they were playing with the top of the board, and it was not easy out there today. And follow up that round with at least an under par round, keep them right there with a chance to win the national championship tomorrow. Is a pretty solid day. I know they would have liked to have played better and shot some of these other scores, but you're going to have one of those days out there. And since they were on sort of the opposite side from most of the other teams in the top of the field, it was probably a big day to kind of prove that they belonged in there. So a good playing by the Redlands gang there. Kenyon, they struggled a little bit coming in that wind, but still in really good shape. They're currently in 4th. They're down 2 spots, but at 290 today, not a bad score at all. But just everybody else was a little bit more under par, so they come down to solo 4th. They're 6 shots back of Carnegie, but as you heard Coach say earlier, anything can happen out there because anybody else goes out and shoots 2 over, and some of the teams that 4, 5, 6, or 7 shoot 10 or 12 under. That's a 16-shot swing, and that would put a lot of those teams in the lead. If they can vault over some of those other people. Okay, keep me going down the list. Emory today, a 4 under 284, very solid round, very, very good. There were several 4 unders, including Methodist, who shot 4 under as well. That seemed to be the score to shoot. Was that 3 to 4 to 5 under was where you had to be. If you were not 3 or 4 under, you were losing ground in the field for the most part. Anything above that, you were gaining a lot of ground on the field. So Emory currently sits in 5th, Huntington 6th, Oglethorpe 7th. Washington and Lee is currently at even par, and they're in 8th place. Schreiner, who had a tough day today, they shot 298. They fell down 4 spots down to 9th. Bethel from Minnesota and Illinois Wesleyan are currently tied at 10th at 7 over. Nice 1 under par round by Illinois Wesleyan today, wanting to get up there. Bethel struggled a little bit, 290, not bad. But, again, 3 to 4 under was where you had to be to kind of feel like you kind of held serve with everybody else. If you wanted to really move up, you had to shoot lower than that. Anything higher, you probably lost ground. Illinois Wesleyan moved up, but more about other people not playing so good. University of Lynchburg is currently 12th. St. John's, Minnesota moves up 3 spots to 13th. Wittenberg moves up 3 spots to 14th. Claremont up 2 to 15th. Farmingdale fell down a little bit today, 296 for them. And Whitman College, 296 as well. And then Franklin and Marshall with a 300 round is currently in 18th. Okay, so that's sort of the leaderboard from a team perspective. Let's go over and look at the individuals because we have got a great tournament going on here. As we said earlier, Brett Viator from Huntington College, an outstanding, unbelievable almost 64. just with a bogey, by the way. It was a 63 if he just makes a par on that hole. He moves up 19 spots to tied for first with Michael O'Sullivan, who was the leader through 2 rounds. Michael shoots a really nice 1 under par 71, in the tougher conditions. And having, as I saw out there, they had some video cameras from the NCAA out there today. I think they did some interviews as well. I kind of felt like they were cramping on my style here, D3 Golf guys. So wait a minute, this is D3 Golf's my turf, but they're from the NCAA. But again, it's going to be one of those interesting things between those 2 guys right now. They are 3 clear of a pack of 3 players. Aaron Buck from Redlands, Cooper Raybreck from Methodist, and Jaden Kunar from Kenyon. All are at 6 under. And again, like as you've seen, 64 is out there. So lots of people can still win this as an individual national champion. But I would say Brett and Michael kind of have an advantage. If they can go out and shoot, 2-3 under par, it's going to be hard for them to get caught because they've got a 3-shot lead on everybody else, or at least those other 3 guys. All right, 4 tied for 6th at 5 under. Brian Zhu from Carnegie Mellon, Caleb Ryan from Methodist, David Zhang from Carnegie Mellon, and Jackson Klutznick from Emory, all at 5 under. Okay, 4 tied at 10th. Jonathan McEwen from Washington Lee, and this is at 4 under par total. Drew Hermsmeyer from Schreiner, Jonas DeLeon from Redlands. Sorry, Jonas, I'm going to get this right. I keep wanting to jump to the last name there. And Peyton Musina, who is playing as an individual in the post-cut with the Pennsylvania College of Technology. They're all at 4 under. Avery Stansel, who's also one of the original individuals, at 4. These are all tied at 14. Avery played great today, 69, moved up 17 spots from Rhodes. He's tied at 3 under with lots of people. Eddie Coffer, the 5th from Lynchburg. Griffin Pohl from Illinois Wesleyan. Ashton Lewis, who's an individual from Eastern Connecticut State. Jonathan Oakes from Kenyon. Jack King, one of the individuals from our guys at Husan, who made it as an individual. And Chase Waltz from Methodist, all at 3 under par. If we get into the tied for 21st, the 2 unders are Brian Hansen from Emory, Jack Yarborough from Wittenberg University, Alex Knox from Whitman College, Justin Chan from Carnegie University, Michael Spitzer from Illinois Wesleyan, Roy Anderson from Franklin and Marshall, and Jake Yim from Redlands. Well, so that's your top 27-ish places. That's tied for 21st with the next batch of tied for 28th from an individual basis. So I think right now, you as you look at the individuals, still anybody's game, right? They're, a 1 or 2 over and somebody shooting 5 or 6 under could make a lot of things work. But 2 guys clear by 3 shots, then over 3 guys, 4 shots over the rest of the other 4. We'll watch that very closely tomorrow, and we hope to have a video and put out some stuff when awards come out tomorrow afternoon. We'll be the media out there checking out and videoing and capturing a lot of that stuff so we can share it on Instagram and everywhere else that we can do that. We will try to go live from the awards presentation on YouTube. We will do our best to do that. We don't really know where that's going to be just yet, but stay tuned for that. Okay, let's look forward to tomorrow and the final round for men's nationals. Rumor is that the wind is going to switch. I don't know, how viable that is, but if the wind does switch and it switches 180 degrees, it's going to mean all those par 5s play more into the wind, and some of the distance of the golf course is really going to be felt. Now, it'll help on some of the tougher par 4s, but par 4, downwind par 4 is a little different than downwind par 5, where, today on number 5, I was watching guys, on 13. On 13 today, I was watching guys hit driver wedge into a par 5 in 2. It's just so far downwind. And also, it's kind of a straight dog leg, and so the guys just bomb it over the corner and cut off a ton of distance. So that's why you see some of those scores. That's what Coach Rogers was talking about there. And as you kind of get into it, if the wind does switch, it's probably gonna make a lot of things play harder. Some of the par threes that have been not been into the wind will be into the wind, and they tend to be the longer par threes. It may make some of the finishing holes a little easier, which means we could see a little more fireworks as well. But those par fives almost all play into the same wind. The one that doesn't has a valley that runs through it, and it's kind of one of those places you don't want to be. It would, you might say it's a creek, but it's just a dry bed. It's kind of just have a sandy, rocky area. And so a lot of the guys have kind of laid up into that and then even tried to go for the green in two. If it's playing downwind, they might be able to get over that. But there is another area that they have to worry about, losing ball into kind of a barranca area. That will be interesting because if that hole plays straight downwind, that par 5 could play even shorter. I think the other ones will play longer, but again, today on 16, they moved the tee way back, and guys were still getting there in 2 because it's just straight downwind. If they move the tee back up, but it plays into the wind, it should play kind of like it did today, and it was still a pretty good birdie hole. But I think they used the back pin today, so that pin's got to come up. So that'll be interesting as we look at 16 as well. Okay. Other things to kind of keep an eye at. Looking at the leaderboard, Carnegie is rock solid. They've gone 282, 287, 280. And they're experienced. They are going to be comfortable in that pairing. It's going to be Carnegie, Methodist, and Redlands out last off number 1. That'll be a very comfortable pairing for Methodist and Carnegie. They've played a lot together. They're going to be vying for it. Redlands has shown that they can hang today. But if they shoot another 1 under tomorrow, unless this weird wind really changes the golf course a lot, I don't know that that's going to do it. I think you're going to have to shoot another 4 or 5 under to try to get into this thing one way or the other. Next set of pairings will be Kenyon, Emory, and Huntington, separated by only 4 shots. So that can go in one hole. That can go really quickly. And then after that, it will be Oglethorpe, Washington Lee, and Schreiner. They'll be the first groups out on number 1. So the way they do the tee times, remember, we start in the middle and work our way out. So the first groups off number 10 will be Bethel, Illinois, Wesleyan, and Lynchburg. And then further back as we go down the list. I would love to put a camera with Kenyon, Emory, and Huntington. I think there's going to be some fireworks there because all of them know that they're shots back from the top 3. And they're going to have to make some birdies in order to try to get a trophy, right? And so here you go. And I think when we think about the greens are hard, are firm. They're not hard. They're firm, but very fair. And you could see ball spin back definitely into the wind. They spun back much better. Downwind, they didn't spin as much. If the wind blows harder tomorrow and different direction, I think this golf course may play very differently. I also think the top 7 to 8 teams will be able to adjust and still shoot similar scores as they did today, with the exception of maybe Huntington, who that was a ton of birdies. And to ask them to try to shoot 12 under again tomorrow, and I'm sure Coach Schreier is telling them, you got to do this again tomorrow, because that's what they really need to continue to vault up that leaderboard. That might be a tall task tomorrow, but again, they might not have to shoot all of that as they get there. But, a really outstanding day of golf out there. I know there was one situation where somebody got dehydrated. It was not a player, but somebody did get dehydrated. I think they had to be taken in. I haven't heard an update on that yet, but I'm hoping that they're doing great. It's somebody that's a friend of our program. So if you're actually sitting around watching this, hopefully getting hydrated back up, we're thinking about you. I hope you're doing all right out there. Other observations today. Driving the ball where you need it to be was a premium today. If you got it offline a little bit, it really exaggerated what was going on. And if you drove it well, you had a much easier chance to knock it on the green or in there, as well as just having better putts at it. It's going to be hot, it's going to be windy, and it's going to be potentially in a very new and different direction. Now, if it turns only kind of a quarter or a half turn, the golf course will play fairly similar. If it turns 180 degrees, it will be very different. So if you're on your weather apps at home and you're into that stuff, the wind direction tomorrow could be very significant in everything else that we really could see in the play tomorrow. Okay. Also, on the individual side, I think right now, Brett and Michael probably have a chance to win a national championship here by playing, just good. I think other people are going to have to play great in order to kind of get out there. So I think that's an interesting scenario. But there's some super good players right behind them. So we're going to get a really great champion, 100% for certain there. And in the top 5 or 6, and where we get All-American and things like that, it's going to be filled with great players from all around the country. So I'm very excited about that. Okay. Also, we are going to have some stuff out tomorrow at the end of the championship. So we're going to have some stuff out. We're going to be hanging out around the clubhouse. Come by, say hello. If you are interested in some of our gear, we have a TeePublic site. You can access that through our website, D3 Golf Guys. Unfortunately, this light hoodie was custom made for me, but we're working on some other stuff as we're getting out there. Other ways you can help us: visit our affiliates, visit our friends at Pinned, use our code. You get 15% off usually unless they're having a really big sale, for using our code. We've got other codes out there. We've got an affiliate section on our website that will tell you all of the places that we are. We're continuing to kind of work on sponsorships and affiliates that is a way for us to generate revenue so we can pour it right back into this thing and do things like we're doing this week with being live, doing live shows at Nationals. Other things you can do: subscribe to our podcast. Hit the like button. Leave a comment on Apple Podcasts. It makes a really big difference for us, especially when we're talking to potential sponsors and affiliates. Other things. Tell your friends. We need more people. The more people that follow us, the better. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. It's really good for us and our brand as we continue to go down this path. We're going to try to work our butts off this summer. We're going to bring you a lot of content. We're working on a couple other ideas as we continue down this path. But I'm really excited for tomorrow. And it's going to be, I think there's going to be another good shootout again tomorrow, where you're going to see people go up and back because it's a beautifully conditioned, very difficult golf course that extremely talented players are making look very easy. So it's going to be an exciting day tomorrow. Stick around. Watch GolfStat. It's going to be amazing. And we will come to you live tomorrow from the awards presentation. We will put that on our YouTube live tomorrow. And then we will do a full podcast post-Nationals this weekend. So once we kind of get back from Nationals, we'll get all the notes, we'll put everything together, and we'll come to you with a good, probably hour-long podcast, just breaking everything down and going through all the results. And then after that, what we're going to do is we'll try to get the national championship winners on the podcast, both from a team and individual perspective. But also remember what starts next week. Women's National starts next week in Lexington. And I know that's going to be a really, really great tournament. We've got 5 or 6 teams at the top of the board that are going to really be vying for it. And look, our guy Dan Rogers, who was here today, he's got a really unique opportunity. He's got a chance to go back-to-back in men's right now, and he has a chance to win the double this year with winning men and women, which has not been done very often. So history could be made later next week when the women and men finish, and I'm really looking forward to the women's tournament. We're going to do a lot of updates in that. I don't think we can do live post-round podcasts. A full week of me being here, it's hard for me to do back-to-back weeks like this unless we do more TeePublic site stuff and helping out through our affiliates. But we will try to do as much as we can on women's nationals as we get into that stuff. So follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We will do as much as we can to keep everybody updated on that, and we will try to do a really good post-women's national podcast as well. So with that, we are going to say, hit 'em.